goodness. Peace and greetings to everyone. Welcome on in. Happy Friday. A happy new moon. Wow. Happy new moon in Aries. How are you all feeling? How are you all doing? Please let me know where you're checking in from, like what continent, as well as what state you're checking in from. So good to have you all tuning in, joining me here. Currently, right now, we are broadcasting live from planet Earth. And I'm just so glad to be here. Glad to see all of you in the building. Let's get those likes up. That way we can let the soul family know that we are live. As well, we can also, send those invites out as well. So if you want to invite someone and have them come on over and join us, I have a few things that I want to talk about here on this new moon. And I see you guys are checking in from all over the world. We have South America in the building, checking in with us. North Georgia is here. Charlotte, North Carolina is in the building. Welcome on in. Texas, my state, is showing up in a very, very big way. Georgia is in the building. And so good to see you all. See you all joining us. Las Vegas, Nevada is in the building. Welcome on in. How are you all feeling? And if you haven't checked in with yourself, I want us to take a moment for us to do that. And we'll do that together as we get ready to just really dive in and talk about some of these things and let everybody know. I, for the last couple of days, as we were building up to this new moon, I really was going over some notes from a couple of years ago. And wow, did it take me down a rabbit hole? I ended up with 28 pages of notes. Now, I don't think we're going to go through a whole masterclass here tonight because I'm really interested in connecting with you all, seeing what you have going on, and for us to just tap into this powerful energy that is here right now. And I noticed a lot of you are saying you're feeling a little tired. Yeah. It's a lot going on. It's a whole lot that is going on. I want to thank you all for being here and being present and being here and being present, coming with a clear mind and a pure heart and being in this space because listen, what you say yes to now, who you're being, who you're showing up as, the actions, the steps that you take, this is not just about this moment. This is really about stepping in to the next couple of years of our lives. And so, we're going to get into it. We're going to dive into it and we're going to dive into it deep. And we're going to talk about it. So I want to welcome you all here. And I'm so glad that you're here. Yeah. This is your moment. And I hope you know that. This is really your moment. And the beautiful thing is, you've had quite a few moments, like all of us. But you're getting an opportunity, as the song goes, to do it again. You know how they say, let's do it again. Yeah, you're going to get a chance to do it again. Now, some people are calling this like a second life. Ooh, we've had many of those lifetimes here on planet Earth for those of us that are here and present and aware at this time. But we're going to get into it. So, welcome on in. So glad to have everybody here. I want to say happy born day to everyone celebrating a born day during this month of April and all of those who are celebrating under the birth sign of Aries. So happy born day to you. Happy born day to you. Happy born day to you. And happy birthday to your mother and your father. Yeah. Welcome to all the visionary collectives in the building. Welcome to all the soul family in the building. Welcome to the seen and the unseen in the building. And also, if this is your very first time tuning in, let me be the first to say welcome. Welcome, and I'm glad that you're here. And we're going to dive into the share here. I don't know about you all, but the energy feels completely different. Let me know. Drop that in the chat. Drop different in the chat if you're feeling it too. If you feel that this energy is just different. And when I say the energy feels different, I'm talking about difference as far as you. Like you feel different. Like there is something completely different about you, about your vibration, about your frequency, about your energy. You know, the Schumann resonance on the planet has been off the Richter scale. Plasma and all kind of gamma rays and all kind of shakes and all kinds of swirls and all kinds of things have been happening, you know, and many of us within the last 24 to 48 hours would have received a DNA explosion. You would have become more crystalline in your essence of who you are. Some of you may have been feeling very restless. Some of you have been feeling very tired. Some of you may even have been very hard for you to regulate your temperature. I'm just going to give you some of the signs from some of the clients that I've been working with throughout this last week. And also, here's something very interesting that I have been seeing and talking to others as well who is doing this work. Some of the other things that has been going on is that some of you have lost your wallet. Some of you have lost your ID. And particularly in this window, you have lost something, a password. You may have been locked out of a system. Or you have lost your credit card. Something may have been lost. You might have went back and found something. So some of you, something that has been missing, you were able to find it again. You were able to recover it. Something you've been looking for, something you've been searching for. All of these are telltale signs of what is going on, what is happening right now. You may have found a desire to go back to something you said you was not going to go back to, you was not going to do again. You may have found yourself doing it, doing that action, doing that thing, but in a very, very different way. But there should have been some significant shift, some sort of pull, some sort of activation, some sort of transformation, not on the outside, but on the inside. But on the inside. But on the inside. On the inside, something different. And that's going to look different. You know, when I speak about the collective, that's a large group of people. You might have even found yourself bumping heads or having arguments or having a short temper lately, or tolerance. Mm-hmm. 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 It's an opportunity to sort of kind of slow down a little bit. Check in with yourself. This is a powerful moment for us. And so we're going to talk about how to connect with this energy, tap into this energy, do a little bit of storytelling here. And we're going to be talking about what's happening, because the celestial skies is only sort of a reflection of what's happening on the inside of us. I'm not going to probably go through these 28 pages because listen, baby, whoo, that's a lot. That's a whole lot. I want to give some acknowledgement here. First of all, I want to welcome everyone on into the building. And we have some things that I'm going to take just a moment to talk about, because it is important to speak about these things at this particular time. But ultimately, we're going to move through that. I'm going to do a little bit of story time, and we're going to have some fun as well. We're going to do that too, because that's important. But yeah, things are different. And when I say things are different, I'm really speaking from me. Things are very different. Even, dare I say, completely different than they were a couple of days ago. And I can feel that within myself. And I know if I can feel it, I know you can feel it. I know you can. I know you can feel it. I know you can feel it within yourself if you allow yourself to lean into you, because so much of the world wants us to lean into it at this time. But lean into you. Matter of fact, let's just take a moment. Let's just take a moment and breathe. Will you all just breathe with me? Let's take some deep breaths and let's just bring in some of this gorgeous goodness that is here. Completely different. You feel completely different. Yes, completely different. So let's take in a deep breath. First of all, let's sit up nice and straight. Put your feet flat on the ground. Wiggle your toes. You know how we do around here. Wiggle your toes, and you can take your hand and you can place it over your belly button or just below your belly button, and wiggle your fingers there, because you're going to drop your consciousness and your awareness down into the lower half of your body. We want to be full embodied here. And take a deep breath inside of your nose. Hold it for a few seconds. And when you let it out, I want that letting out to be a total release. Release of anything that needs to be released. This will be your energetic calling to release. See how good that feels for you. And if you need to do it again, anytime during this transmission, I want you to do it again, okay? And then do it again. And then do it again. Yes, until you are completely satisfied that you are nice and grounded in your physical body. In your physical body. I want to give a big shout out to the Futuristic Activation group. I'm going to ring the bell for them. We had a call on Monday, and this would have been our second group meeting together for the Futuristic Activation group. And one of the things that we covered in this year of sovereignty and activating your multisensory abilities was connecting with our ancestors, our spirit guides, and understanding the different roles of them in our lives, our connection with them, how to form a deeper bond with them and connect with them. We talked about the purpose and how to connect with them, as well as angels and the three. Just building on the layers of really beginning to understand the connection of how they're all a representation of coming from your higher self and how that connection has been translated to you here on earth when you're activating these energies through your higher self, your God consciousness, and bringing that energy down to earth, and the purpose and the role of that connection. And so I want to continue that theme because a lot of what's happening with this Aries new moon has to do with family lineage, has to do with ancestors, has to do with all of that. But as we get ready to get into that, oops, just seen it again. We got Pegasus flying high in the sky. You all let me know if you had your eye and you've seen the flying unicorn of Pegasus flying high in the sky. And so I want to welcome you all in. I'm going to give a little introduction to me for those of you who may be joining us for the very first time, or this is your very first time here. But before I go deeper into that, I kind of lost my chain of thought. So I'm a little excited about what I'm going to be sharing with you guys tonight. And quite frankly, a little nervous because it's a lot of information that has been translated. And I want to make sure that I do a good service of translating this information to you all so you can make your own decision about what is happening and about what is going on. Yeah. So I'm going to take my time. I'm going to take my time tonight. A little bit, but I want to give that shout out to the Futuristic Activation Group and everyone who is a part of that and the amazing work that they are doing, as well as I want to shout out the Dream Makers for Dreams to Reality. As you guys know, we completed that 12-week session that we all had together, and so many of them are doing so much powerful work. And we will be working towards bringing some of those who are open to coming on and want to share their work so that they can introduce themselves to you guys. For some of them, it will be a reintroduction to the soul family here, because that's important to me and my platform. For those of you that are here doing the work and all of us doing the work together, to be able to come and utilize this space as a space where we get together, we share things with one another. For those who is supporting the group and supporting each other, that is something that I foster, and that is something that I do. I believe that we are the seen group, not the unseen group. And I love celebrating people out loud celebration. So, dream makers, I want you all to know that most of you should all have your certificates, because I'm almost done. Oh my goodness. With all of the certificates of completion, I will be sending that out to you all, and you all will be getting that. You all will be getting that. I also want to say thank you to everyone who has sent in their reviews to me as well for the class, and that is still working, because I certainly know one of my dreams to reality is to put the final touches on my book. And my goal is to get it done at least the first draft. I should be done. Operative word, my goal is to have the first draft done by Cancer season. And you'll find out more about that coming up here. So I really, really want to have that done by then, to at least have the first draft and, you know, really start to put that out there. I'm super, 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 super excited. What is that? Mama Love _7. This is your first time here. Well, welcome on in. Welcome on in. And again, you all let me know where you're tuning in from. And so for those of you, allow me, and I'm going to say this respectfully, allow me to reintroduce myself. I love that. That's something I've been using. Shouts out to Jay-Z for that line. But allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Ms.Blue. And affectionately, I have been given the name the Soulful Oracle. And I love that. I am a visionary psychic medium, a clairvoyant, a Reiki master, a certified holistic practitioner. And one of the things that I do is I read the Akashic Records, the soul's own book of truth. And one of the things that I've been doing for over 20 years, I have spent my life in service to one singular purpose. And this was even before I could name it. It was something I desperately needed for myself, and I have dedicated my life thus far to this purpose: to help people stop being afraid of themselves. Yeah. Because I remember a time when I was afraid of me, growing up as a young child. And I'm sure many of you can relate to that. And afraid in other ways, maybe not so known as I became older. And what I've learned is because fear of self is the only prison that cannot be escaped from the outside. It is built from the inside. And the key to it lies inside of you. And so one of the things that I do is I work with thousands of people all over the world, across continents, across lifetimes of patterns, across the frequency of their own being, to help you remember something that you were already born knowing. And what I know for sure is that you are not here to be small. And you are not here to be safe in the way that the world defines safety. You are here to be free, to fully be yourself, fully be yourself, to live the life that you actually came to live, not the one that you were told was acceptable. Not that one. So, I'm here to help you remember that the light you were born carrying, you know, that unique frequency that I call the God spark, that specific gift, the particular way that you are meant to move through this world. I want you to understand it is not dangerous. It's necessary. and it's medicine. It's pure medicine. Everything I do is in service to your liberation. And sometimes that can come with maybe what you don't want to hear. I'll be honest. But it is in service to your liberation, to your evolution, to the transformation that happens when you stop negotiating your own knowing and you start living it. I can alter my course at any given moment, and so can you. So, I am Ms.Blue, and that is what I do. That is who I am, and that is why I'm here. So, with that being said, I just want to welcome you on into the cipher. That's a throwback for all the OGs. Now that we've done those commentaries, I want to welcome everybody into the building, all of the soul family, all of the visionary collectives, everyone a part of Self-Invested, everyone who has been here, whether you're just getting here or you've been here for a long time, the divine priestess in the building, the dream makers in the building, the futuristic activation collective in the building, the seen and the unseen. Just want to welcome you all in. Now, before I go deeper into what I want to share with you tonight, I want to take a moment. Not too long, we won't be here, but I want to acknowledge what's happening in our world right now because it's a lot going on. Because when we talk about something as ancient as astrology, right? As sacred as the oracle traditions, because these are what I'm sharing with you. This is what oracles have done. This is what sibyls have done. You know, this is what the wise ones have done. And many of you in past lives have done this work. And this is why you're very much connected to what you're connected to now. I personally feel at this point of all the things that is going on, it would be irresponsible not to look at how these energies are showing up on Earth right now. And I'm not going to go deep or not too deep into the politics or medicine tonight. But I am here to read the frequency and to name these patterns. Because everything happening on this planet, in the area, in all of these areas, it's affecting all of us. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at it from a higher, more holistic, and more of a balanced perspective. So there's a couple of things. And like I said, I wrote all of this down. I don't even know if we're going to go into all of this. But today, as we speak, we know about this powerful alignment that's here. But what I can tell you is this: the sky and earth are speaking the same language. What you're feeling inside of your body, that transformation that's happening, this is what's happening on the planet. There's a couple of things that is going on tonight, today. We had a formal United States Senate hearing because there is a pandemic that is going on. And this pandemic that's going on right now is impacting our children. And I want you to hear the title of this hearing that is happening. It's called The Corruption of Science and Federal Health Agency. Write that one down because you need to keep an eye out on this. And this is a live broadcast that was going on earlier today, and it's really about how healthcare professionals downplayed and concealed evidence of adverse events associated with COVID-19 vaccine. And what was happening is the doctors were testifying on record. They were testifying about all of the blood clots, the heart damage that was found during autopsies, right? And what was happening with this whole scenario. And I tuned into it for a little bit. And when I say they was pulling the veil all the way back, letting them know what was really going on, it was a lot of people speaking their truth and really standing up for what they knew to be true without the fear. And I want you to understand, because of this lineup that we have going on, that is Chiron and Eris together. This is what's being played out in real time. This is what we're watching right now in real time. Real time. Also, there's another variant that's circulating right now, and they named it, what is it? What's the bugs that go underground? Circadia? What do you call it? Cicadia. Named after the insect that goes underground and stays silent and then come back. And I want you to understand that scientists named it this. This variant disappeared in 2022, spent 2 years evolving in silence, and now has returned with over 70 mutations in its spike protein. Are y'all hearing this? Now, something is going on. And we need to understand what this is going on, because it is showing a pattern that is outside of nature, because it is affecting children between the ages of 3 to 15 at 5 times the rate of adults. 5 times the rate of adults. Five times the rate as adult. I told you all this month, 5. I want you to know that right now, the most valuable frequency on this planet is being affected in a way that no one predicted. That is an uninvited pattern. The concealed things are surfacing in the bodies of innocence. Now y'all understand why I was at 28 pages of notes. And this ain't even the half of it. But I want to move on from there. And I am sending love out to everyone. And definitely keeping a watchful eye. And I will be diving deeper into the records to see what is going on. But for those of us who have young children, or we are in contact, or your work is with those children between the ages of 3 to 15, this is the time that we really become proactive and start building immune system and making sure that we are eating the foods, doing the things energetically, keeping frequencies high, and, doing all of the things that we need to do as well. as well. It's all kinds of things that's going on. Some of the other things, and I'm sure you all heard about this, where we have Pope Leo. And there's a powerful alignment that's coming up with Leo energy. But Pope Leo publicly telling the President of the United States that war makers have hands full of blood, his exact words. One of, it's interesting of who's calling who and saying what, but we can see where there are these spiritual authorities or so-called authorities of the world speaking truth to political power in a way that cannot be controlled and contained. And it's a lot of that energy going on. And we're going to talk about it because most people are not talking about what's going on right now. We have a federal judge finding that Ticketmaster and Live Nation has operated as a monopoly for years. This is another story that's going on. Think about this. When everybody was talking about why them tickets for Beyonce was so high, going to see Taylor Swift, why them tickets is so high, why concert tickets are so high. Well, there's a federal ruling against Ticketmaster and Live Nation saying that they operated as a monopoly, controlling who gets access to cultural gatherings, overcharging the public, locking competitors out of the room. The truth that, the arrangement just landed in court, in a courtroom verdict. They made a verdict that just happened. Then there's another story that's going on about how there's a sister who had a small business. I think she was either selling her book or doing something with books, a book club or something she had going on during the time of Essence. And Essence, the founders of Essence, they sent her a cease and desist letter. Like, when we said 2026 would reveal and pull the veil back and things would be crumbling and falling, rumors about how Essence Magazine is in debt, not Essence Magazine, forgive me, Essence Fest is in debt. They owe millions of dollars, yada, 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 allegedly. Craziness. And then something else that just, my heart goes out. And I want us all to hold these individuals in prayer. 56 adults, 17 children was killed by a drone strike on a wedding celebration at a wedding in Sudan. A moment of such devastating loss. We need to pause for this, to witness, to hold those souls. The most innocent moment of our human life. This celebration, a gathering of love, caught in a crossfire of systems that were never designed to protect as their first priority. This is what's happening. So when I tell you that this is not a quiet moment on earth, it's not. Every system, war, health, spirituality, commerce, human dignity, These things are being exposed, they're being questioned, they're being reorganized simultaneously. So, I say all of that to say, you're not crazy for feeling that something is shifting again, or that you're extremely tired. Many of us are doing work in the astral realm unconsciously while we're asleep. The sky and the earth are speaking the same language right now. So last year, I told you to pay attention to not only what was going on in the sky, but what was happening in the waters and what was being concealed. And I told you the frequency of what was hidden was building, and it would not stay hidden. So right now, as we sit in this moment, it's some things happening in the sky. We got Aries new moon behind. Something most people don't talk about and no one's talking about beside Eris, the goddess who was excluded from the gathering and arrived anyway. Two things are surfacing simultaneously that I want you to witness. Number one, there was the Senate healing. And the show that I did when I spoke about the brother, knowledge-born Ali, and his mother, and the work that she did in New Jersey, where she was based out of, about children, about vaccination. And I told you there would be soon that whole getting your child vaccinated mandate would go away. And we've seen some breakthroughs, and there's a lot of breakthroughs. And this happening right now is another breakthrough. And the circadian variant in children. So I'm not here to tell you what to conclude medically. That's not my role. At least that's not my role right now. What I will tell you is this. This is what Revelations looks like. And this is exactly what Eris does. She doesn't ask for permission to arrive, and we're going to talk more about that. She places the truth in the center of the room, and every agreement built on its absence has to respond. I saw this same frequency coming, not the specific details, but you all have listened to the prediction show that I've done for the last couple of years. I've seen the pattern, the era of what was hidden becoming visible. We are well deep inside of that era. You see, this new moon is asking each of us a question. The same question the Senate chamber and the scientists are now being asked. What truth are you finally ready to stop excluding from the room of your life? Yeah. What truth is that? What truth is that? Yeah. So now let's get into it. Because what I'm getting ready to share with you is not just information. It is something you feel when you hear it. And it kind of works like this. It kind of works like memory, like the memory you didn't know you were carrying. That's what I call a DNA explosion, you know? That's when you get that DNA and it explodes inside of you. It's greater than an aha moment. It's more than a breathtaking jolt. Because right now we are standing inside of a precious moment in time. And if you can see the moon, I actually have my window open. Funny story. I'll tell y'all later. The Aries new moon has gone dark. It's dark. It's dark at 27 degrees. But here's the thing, it's not standing alone. And I want you to imagine this. I did my best to come up with a visual so you can understand the party and you can understand what's going on. Do y'all see this where I say, this is your moment? So you have the new moon. The new moon is dark at 27 degrees. So we know in astrology, when you start getting to that 27, that 28, we at the end, baby. It's at the end, but the new moon is not standing alone. Beside it, we got Chiron. Chiron is what they like to affectionately call the wounded healer. And Chiron standing tall at 26 degrees. But that's not it. Besides that, we got Eris, the goddess of uninvited truth. And she done came and rolled up next to the new moon and Chiron at 27 degrees. Now, that ain't it. There's more people here that has been invited, and surrounding them all, stretching back through the earlier degrees of this same sign, you got Saturn, you got Neptune, you got Mercury, and you got Mars. So you got 8 celestial bodies. You know the song, My Body, Your Body. You got 8 celestial bodies, all in Aries at the same time. At the same time. They all there. And I want you to understand that just doesn't happen. When the sky organizes itself like this, you got to know it's not an accident. This is a pure transmission. And speaking of pure transmissions, I got to go back through my notes because if my memory serves me correctly, we do have a soul family member that is celebrating their born day today. I think I'm correct. Michelle, happy born day. Happy born day, Michelle. I know when we were together in class, I was able to give you your personal reading, but I want to tell you happy born day. This is a powerful sister. And boy, oh boy, Michelle, I know you got something to say about this energy today. I know you got something to say about how you're feeling this powerful energy that is blessing you on your born day today. So happy born day to you, Michelle. And love you so much and so glad to have you here and doing the work as well. So I know everybody in chat is sending her so much love. And we just want to wish you a happy born day. Yeah, I want to wish you a happy born day again. So there you go. Beautiful, beautiful. So listen, we're going to keep going. We gonna keep going because y'all gotta see this story, see this picture. Hopefully, I'm doing a decent job of bringing this story together that you can begin to start understanding. So all 8 celestial bodies here together. This transmission is here. These 8 bodies are arranged in 2 clusters. Okay. So think of it like this: 2 chambers in the same portal. So you got 2 chambers going on in the same portal. In the early degrees, you got Neptune, Mercury, Mars, and Saturn. And this is where the action is being forged. So think of it. This is where the movement is coming from. And in the late degrees, you got Chiron, you got Eris, you got the sun, and you got the moon. And this is where identity is being initiated. So hence the reason, as all of this energy starts to move forward, so many of you started to feel over the last couple of months, as they were getting into formation, you started feeling the shifts of your identity. You were changing. You probably was looking in the mirror singing that song, "Look at me, I am changing." You're changing. And you could see the change. You could feel the change. You could understand the change. But I want you to think of it as 2 rooms in the same house. One room is where your courage is being shaped. And the other is where your soul is being named. Think about it. Mm-hmm. 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 And the new moon is the doorway between them. So, before I take you through each one, there's a presence here, as I kind of went over, that almost no one is talking about, and that is Eris. And I hope I'm saying her name right. I think it's Aries. And if you don't know her story, listen, you need to know her story. You need to know her story. I'm going to give it to you, and again, do your own research, but I'm going to tell you the story, Ms.Blue's version. You see, there was a party going on. There's a party going on. There was a gathering of the minds. There was a gathering of the gods and the goddesses coming together, as the story goes. But Eris was not invited to this divine gathering. In fact, not only was she not invited, she was deliberately excluded. They was like, nah, don't put her on the guest list. Invite her to join us here. I need you all to stay with me here. You're going to understand how this is playing out in real life. So she was deliberately left off of the guest list, because those who were in attendance assumed that her presence brought some disruption. Kind of that disruption, like, oh, here she come. But guess what? She arrived anyway. And when she came in, long story short, and I'll tell the short version. We'll be here all night with the long version. But what happened is she walked by and she looked inside and seen everybody who was invited and realized, wait a minute, they didn't invite. I wonder why they didn't invite me. She knew why they didn't invite her, but you all are going to understand where this mythology has been playing out since we were children in a story. So if you know, you know. What ended up happening, long story short, she went and found a golden apple. And she took that golden apple and she pulled out a cosmic Sharpie and she went to writing. And so she took that golden apple, walked up in the building, and she placed it in the center of the room. And it had an inscription wrote on that apple, and it said, "For the fairest." And baby, the room fell apart. The room fell apart, not because Eris was wrong, but because the truth she carried could no longer be contained in polite silence. Because they already knew she was the truth bringer. And when Aries comes on the scene, and this is how the mythology is being told, so we can understand it in a cosmic, energetic way of how the collective is moving. So I want you to think of yourself, all of us in the collective, we are Aries. We're Aries, okay? We wasn't invited to this party that's happening in the world. But we showed up anyway. And we're not showing up alone. We're showing up in full force. And I want you to understand this about Eris. Eris has been moving through Aries since 1925. I want you to do the math. Because this sister is slow motion with it. She is so slow motion with it. It takes her over 550 years to complete one full journey through the zodiac. That's how slow motion with it is. She on her way. You know how when you say something smart or you do something and maybe your mother said, "Oh, I'm on my way." Or somebody says something to you and you say, "You know what? I'm on my way." That's what Eris has been saying to Earth. "Oh, don't worry. I'm on my way." So here we are 555 years later. She's not here visiting. She ain't here visiting. She has been here. She's just been slow motion with it. She's been walking, slowly taking her time, not rushing. When this type of thing happens, this is permanent pressure. And this is in alignment with what many of you have been seeing, you've been dreaming, you've been understanding. The sacred text has been telling us, the astrology has been telling us, numerology has been telling us, the world has been playing out. This pressure has been building for 550 years. There's that 5 again. Yeah. Building and building towards this exact moment. And right now, she's at 27 degrees. And she is propped up nice, got her legs crossed, and she's sitting right beside the new moon. And guess who's on the other side of her? On the other side of her, right beside Chiron. Yeah, she in the room, she in the building, the uninvited one, next to the wounded one, next to the beginning. So we got the new moon, which is the new beginning. We got Chiron, who is the wounded one. And now we got Eris, and they all sitting together. That is the Trinity sitting there together. And she is asking questions. And right now, the world is being questioned. And right now, you should be questioning yourself. Questioning. She says, whose voice has been left off the invitation list? She asking, and she looking around. Okay, y'all, tell me, whose voice has been left off the invitation list? Whose truth has been too inconvenient to include? And then she asked the question, what happens when the uninvited finally walks into the room? This is you coming to a realization of who you are. Whose voice has been left off the invitation list? Where have you left your voice? The voice about who you know yourself to be. And what truth has been too inconvenient for you to include in your life, in your story, in your purpose, in your movement? And what happens when the uninvited finally walk they ass in the room? What happens when you finally start showing up in your life? What happens when you finally start unapologetically showing up in your life? I'm not talking about your mama's life, your daddy's life, your woman's life, your man's life, your child's life, your friend's life, your world's life, your social media life. I'm talking about what happens when you finally walk into the room of your life. See, there are some questions that must be answered. So now we got to dig a little deeper into this council. We got to dig a little deeper. That has assembled themselves together for this moment, because this portal was not built by 1 or 2 planets. It was built by 8. And we know 8 is the number of infinity. Right? Each one is carrying specific instructions. I'm going to give you a short breakdown on the 8 and their instructions that they are carrying. First, we're going to talk about Mars. And I'm going to talk a little astrology language tonight because it's a little easier for me to move through this. I can get very animated. Let's talk about Mars. Mars, the ruler of Aries, as they say. But I want you to understand, and I want you to see this in an archetypal way. So let's pull out our third eyes and our visionary caps here. And I want us to kind of romanticize this a little bit so we can really get into the essence of the message that is here for us on this new moon in Aries, okay? So Mars, the ruler of Aries, which means, guess what? Mars is in Aries. That means this is his kingdom. This is his kingdom. So Mars is now back in his kingdom. That means he is at full power, full capacity. Have you ever witnessed a brother at full power? That is something to behold. Mars is at full power. Full power. Yet he stands between Neptune's mist. Because one thing about Neptune is going to mist you. And Saturn gonna have a wall up. So what does that mean? It means this is not reckless or impulsive. You know, this full power that Mars is at, where he recognizes, I am standing between you two, but you are in my kingdom. And when you're in my kingdom, then you have to abide by the king's rules. So this is a warrior who knows the weight of what he carries. You understand? So we're not talking about someone in full power that is reckless. We're talking about someone who understands the weight and the power that he carries as a warrior. So Mars is here and he's asking for something. He's asking for discipline, courage, because he recognizes, I know you may not have that fire. And I know you may not be at your full power. But Mars is asking us for discipline, courage, you know, the kind that can see clearly, that can choose precisely, and that could move when the timing is right. And so these are questions I pondered upon myself as I was putting this together. At this moment with this share, wait a minute, Blue, can you understand the power that you have? Can you have courage with this discipline? Can you see clearly, and can you choose precisely, and can you move? Not anytime you want to move, but move when the timing is right. Not before, not in reaction, but from a deliberate, embodied knowing. This is tapping into your higher mind, your intuitive mind. You understand? And so this is Mars' position. Recognizing, wait a minute, all of y'all, I welcome everyone who is here. But guess what? This is my kingdom, and I'm going to go ahead and put the itinerary out. If you want to be here, this is what I need you to do. So I want you to understand what some of you are feeling at this time, no matter what that can be. This is not energy of rushing, but it is energy of readiness. And I need you, if you're feeling what I'm saying, to type, I'm ready in chat, because this is energy that's all about readiness. Now, we got to talk about Mercury. We're going to get through all 8 of these planets, but we're going to talk about Mercury. And Mercury governs how you think and how you speak. This is Mercury, right? It's a lot going on in that celestial skies, just like it's a lot going on with all of us. Neptune governs spiritual vision. And this is what many of you are having. You're having spiritual vision. Neptune governs divine revelations. And so many of you, like myself, we are having divine revelations. And here's the other thing. Neptune governs dissolving anything that is false. We're just going to go ahead and call it what it is. Anything that is fake, anything that is false, whether it's inside of you, outside of you, or around you, Neptune governs this. And right now, these two are less than 1 degree apart from each other. And I'm talking about Mercury conjunct Neptune. We got the 3 and we got the 2, and they are 1 degree away from each other. That's why when you do something lately, you've been feeling it very intensely. You know immediately, oop, shouldn't have did that. Or oop, that was right on time. You know exactly when you are moving in the right direction. You know exactly when you done went the wrong way. You know it. You know it. So if you look at this, Neptune and Mercury, they are virtually the same body. They shoulder to shoulder. You know how people say it ain't no room, it's standing room in here. We shoulder to shoulder. We are right beside each other. So when Mercury fuses with Neptune's in Aries, there is some things that take place. Primal self-expression starts to come alive. What emerges is not just communication. Baby, you are getting full transmissions, and you better know it. You see, words that bypass the analytical mind, and they start to arise from a deeper frequency that lives inside of you. So what you're feeling is something deep. You know what you're hearing, what you're understanding, and what you're perceiving is not coming from your mind. You know this. This is what you're feeling at this time. This is an aspect that makes a message feel different. Everything you're hearing, even from me, but it's not me causing it. It is you receiving it because you're receiving your own transmission and you're understanding this message in a very, very unique way. You better take notes. Note to self. It is a note to self in this message here. Because there's something deeper that is happening, that is churning within your soul. I need you to listen to what that is for you. Listen. We're going to move on to Saturn. We're going to go to Saturn. You see, Saturn likes to arrive early. You know, it's like the song by the Gap Band, I got to get up early in the morning. Well, Saturn likes to get up early. So Saturn arrived at Aries way back in February 2026 of this year. For the first time, Saturn came to Aries' house in nearly 30 years. I want you to do the math, and I want you to go back in your life 30 years. What were you doing 30 years ago? Some of you were in another realm. You were in another dimension. But for some of us here, I want you to go back 30 years. This is the last time Saturn came to visit Aries. Oh, Now we understand Daddy Saturn, Big Daddy. They call him Big Daddy for a reason. They call Big Daddy Saturn for a reason. He is the planet of what endures. He's also the planet of mastery. He's the planet of legacy. And baby, he's the planet of the long game. And right now we playing a long game with a lot of this bullshit that's going down on planet Earth. It's been a long game. And for those of us who come, who are black and brown, or who have been disenfranchised, it has been a long game. But guess what? Big Daddy done came home to Aries. Now, one of the things about understanding this is that Saturn doesn't really, he ain't a fan of shortcuts. He ain't a fan of shortcuts. He not a fan of impulse. But what he does reward is commitment and consistency. And I want you to think about all the areas of your life because you got them. I don't care how many times you started and you stopped something. I don't care how many times you pick something up and you put it back down. You got some areas of your life that you have been committed. You do. You do. You got some areas of your life where there is consistency. And this is what Big Daddy Saturn rewards. He rewards where you have been committed and where you have been consistent at. Where have you been consistent? The willingness to build something that is real. You know that song, give him something he can feel, give him something that is real. That's Big Daddy Saturn. And he's asking you yet again, where are you willing to be committed? Where are you willing to be consistent? Where are you willing to build something that is real? Okay? Something that is real. See, everything that's happening, you got Saturn and Aries beside Mars and Neptune. You understand, is the anchor in this storm of energy, because that's what we got going on. Just like we got a lot of storms happening on the planet, it's because there is a cosmic storm that is going on, as above, so below. And here's what Saturn is saying. And I want you all to take note of this because this is going to be one to grow on. Saturn is saying, what you initiate at this new moon is not a moment, even though it is your moment. It is not even just a chapter. But I want you to think about this. What you say yes to under this sky, you are also saying yes to for the next 2 to 3 years. See, we in this for the long game. So whatever you're saying yes to, that part, whatever you're saying yes to is what you will be saying, yes to for the next 2 to 3 years. This ain't a trend. This is nothing but foundation. This is foundation that you're building. You understand? A lot of times I hear people say things like they think Saturn is blocking them. Saturn is holding them back. No. That energy is not blocking you. That energy is not holding you back. But Big Daddy Saturn is making sure what you build can hold the weight of what you are becoming. Because sometimes we want to become something we're not willing to build. Can't do that. Let's move on to Neptune. And I want you to understand. Let's talk about Neptune. Because see, like Saturn, Neptune arrived a little early. Neptune entered Aries, I want to say back in January. You understand? Back in January of this year. For the first time since 1861. Can you imagine having a friend and going to visit someone and you come to see them and you say, the last time I seen you was 1861. And we all know what was going down in 1861. When you study the history of the world, the ones that we can really account for, that is not made up hokumology, that is not some outdated, antiquated, masculine mind of a Western mindset that just went and made some shit up for the sake of making it up. But I'm talking about real documented history. You know what was going on across the world in 1861. Huh, huh, So Neptune and Aries, I want you to make a note of this, and I don't want you to ever forget this. Always mark something. When Neptune shows up in Aries, it's got one job. And it's not going to fail. One job. And the job is how can I say it? It marks the dissolution of an old collective identity. It's dissolving. It's dissolving the collective identity, and we can see the collective identity dissolving. And a spiritual emergence of something truer. So it's saying, I came to shut all this shit down. Shut it down. This identity that the world thinks it is, because we're talking about the collective, is over. And to bring about a spiritual shift, an emergence of something truer. What it also does is it softens hard edges of the constructed self. You understand? Because it's the fog of that. And when it lifts, so it's a gentle kind of way of allowing you to see yourself and for the collective to see themselves for who they are. You know, Neptune is coming in with a little gentleness there, lifting that fog, but it's going up slowly. I told you guys in my prediction show for 2026 that there would be a lot of fog, but the fog will start to lift. Yeah, Neptune's coming in, but slowly softening that edge of who you thought you were, softening that edge of who you thought the world was, softening that edge of what you thought you can do and what you thought you could not do, and lifting that and revealing a path that was there all along. You didn't realize it. When you go back and you start to think about what your soul is calling you to do right now, I guarantee you can look back to when you were a child. You can look back to when you were young. You can look back 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and these were the things that you were desperately working towards. These were the things that you were desperately trying to move forward. These were the things that you were passionately connected to. These were the things that you wanted to push forward. Now, what happened is you simply was not able to see it through the noise of who everyone else needed you to be. Who everyone needed you to be. But that's being lifted. That is being lifted. That is being completely lifted. What feels unclear right now is not confusion. It's purification. And that's where many of you are right now. You're going through the purification. What cannot survive this frequency was never really yours to carry. And it's a lot of things that is falling away in all of our lives because these are things we were never meant to carry. Stay with me. Now we're going to talk about the sun and the moon, this new moon. So this new moon is where the sun and the moon meet. where the conscious and the unconscious align in the same place at the same time. And so what we have going on in Aries, the sign of I am. This is not just a new beginning. This is the moment you get to decide without apology, without negotiation, what version of yourself you are beginning as. This is what this new beginning is. What version? Listen. You get to decide. This is the moment you get to decide, not someone else. You get to decide without apology, without negotiating. What version of yourself are you beginning as? This is the new beginning. What version are you going to begin as? At 27 degrees, the wisdom saturated late degrees of Aries. This is not the beginning of someone who doesn't know themselves. Come on. This is the beginning of someone who does. Someone who has been studying in the caves of their own becoming long enough. You have been doing the inner work. You have had enough experiences. You have had enough relationships. You have had enough connections. You have had enough dreams. You have had enough of the speaking with your ancestors. You have had enough of the seeing. You have had enough of the studying. You have had enough of the wins. You have had enough of the fails. You have had enough of the love. You have given enough of the love. I'm not speaking to anyone here who doesn't know who they are. No one. This is the beginning where you already know. We are not going back to ground zero. This is the beginning where you already know. And you choose anyway. You choose anyway. I did a talk a couple of days ago on the other channel. And that was one of the call and response. I've chosen. So I want us all to really utilize this energy. To decide. To decide. What version of yourself you are beginning as. And I want you to really, really have that talk with yourself. Because this is the beginning where you already know. You're not starting from that place you started from before where you were clueless and didn't know what. But you already know. So, outside of the Aries Council, we still got 3 more forces that is pressing against the portal. But these 3 forces are pressing from different angles. And they're creating pressure, they're creating heat, and they are creating conditions needed for the soul to finally move. I want to tell you a story, but I'm going to get too emotional. So I don't think I can get it out tonight. But I want you to understand what I said about three more forces. These three more forces are making sure that you don't miss this moment. It's creating pressure. And right now you are feeling pressure in your life. Some of you in the collective, it's creating heat. That fire is on that ass. Right? Pressure. Pressure. Heat. And pressing against. There is a resistance. Everyone on the planet is feeling this resistance that is happening in some shape, form, or capacity. It's creating conditions needed for the soul to finally move. If you are picking up what I'm saying, I want you to drop in the chat or in the comment, move something. Move something. This is what we're being called to do in our lives. We've been here before. I certainly have. It's been times, and boy, I tell you, I couldn't move. Fear had me gripped on the inside. I wouldn't move. But this time, too much pressure, too much heat. Too many conditions. You got to move. You got to move. The soul is going to move. The soul is going to take its rightful place. You are the soul being that this alignment is here for. So we're going to talk about Pluto. Now, Pluto in Aquarius. Is dismantling the old collective identity. And when I say Pluto is dismantling the old collective identity, this is who humanity agreed it was. And I want you to think about, for however many years humanity has been here, who they agreed they were. That's all coming crashing down. See, Pluto is in the earlier degrees of Aquarius, and it's squaring the new moon right now. And see, this square to the new moon, what it does is it causes friction. And that's what many of you may be experience or have been experiencing. You're experiencing friction between your personal awakening and every system that benefits from you playing small. It's friction. Look around in your world. Look around at the things that is happening, and you can see where the friction is happening. It's by design. Because of this square that is here. See, you have your personal awakening that's happening. And I don't care how long you've been on this path. As Meek Mills would say, there's levels to this shit. Just because you woke up 15, 20, 30 years ago, you still have levels to wake up to. Marvin Gaye, wake up, wake up, wake up. Yeah. Wake up. It's time for some sexual healing. It's time for a lot of healing. So, this friction between your personal awakening and every system that benefits from when you hide, from when you be quiet, from when you don't speak your truth, when you are not living your truth, when you are not taking action on the things that your spirit is calling you to do, there are systems that is benefiting from you staying small. This is why stepping into your full voice feels loaded right now. You feel fully loaded when you are stepping into your full voice. And I want you to understand this is personal. It's not personal, but it is personal. It is genuinely a collective act of powerful reclamation. Reclamation. So when you speak your whole truth, not a fraction, you are not just healing yourself. You are fracturing the collective agreement that said certain voices do not belong at the table. You, when you do not step into your full voice, but when you speak your whole truth to yourself, speak your truth. Speak your whole truth. And before you run out and try to speak your whole truth to the world, make sure you're speaking your whole truth to yourself. When you do that, you throw a glitch in the matrix. That's the false matrix, the mind, the unconscious. You fracture that. You crack it wide open. That collective agreement that says certain voices don't belong at the table. You're at home talking to yourself, having a conversation about you and your truth, and you are cracking the code around the world. You need to understand that your power is not local. It's universal. And what you do in silence is what's being played out loud. So now we're going to move on to Jupiter. Jupiter in Cancer. We're talking about these three pressures. Jupiter is in Cancer and it's squaring the new moon. And Jupiter in Cancer, what it does is it magnifies. And you all let me know if you feel this, and I want you to type something in chat or in the comments. I want you to understand, but Jupiter in Cancer is magnifying the soul's deepest hunger. So right now you should have you should say, Ms. Blue, I'm hungry. You understand? You hungry for your soul's deep calling. To feel truly safe while being seen. Yeah. Hungry. Jupiter in Cancer is magnifying your soul's hunger. You want it bad. You want it bad to truly feel safe while being seen. These two things felt mutually exclusive for most people who carry a wound. I want you to understand that this square is activating that tension deliberately, because growth cannot happen only inside the comfort zone of your old belonging. At some point, you have to be willing to outgrow some of the rooms that once felt like home. You have to be able to outgrow some of these thoughts, these habits, these beliefs, some of these outdated teachings, some of these warped perceptions that keep you locked into fear, playing small. The question that most of us is asking, will I be accepted? Will I be accepted? This is what's being activated on purpose. It is the final test before the threshold. Will I be accepted? Some of you are being rejected, and it is the best thing that could have happened. Because before you can be accepted by the world and by others, you must accept yourself. Then there could be no rejection. The final test before the threshold. So, Uranus. Uranus, you ever sat on the edge of something? Or if you ever seen a kid or a child, or maybe yourself sitting on the edge of something and you're swinging your feet. Just sitting there, swinging your feet. Well, that's where Uranus is. Uranus is on the edge at 29 degrees of Taurus. Uranus is sitting at the very last degrees of Taurus, 29 degrees. In astrology, what they would call a crisis degree of urgency and completion. Love that saying. Rejection is something I've been telling my children all their life. Baby, rejection is your protection. Yeah, always. So I love that. But look, Uranus is sitting at the last degree of Taurus, 29 degrees. This is the degree of urgency and completion. So everything Uranus came to disrupt in the material world, that's money, body, that's earth, that's security and value. It's reaching its final chapter. Its final chapter. In 1 week, on April the 25th, Uranus will enter into Gemini for the next, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. 7 years. And an entirely new wave of collective awakening shall begin. So this new moon is the last exhale before that door opens. Do you not see the visual before that door opens? So this is not an ordinary Friday. And we are not, as John Legend sings, ordinary people. The sky knows, and now you do too. And through all of this, and I know I've been talking a lot of astrology here. Hopefully I gave you Ms. Blue's version of it, help you to understand it a little bit better. The stelliums, the squares, the outer pressure, the council, Chiron at 26 degrees, right beside the portal, holding a story that kind of explains everything. Now, I have this whole story of Chiron here. I ain't gonna hold y'all. We not finna go through this. Not tonight. We ain't finna go through it. I think y'all know the story of Chiron. Even though I ain't gonna hold you, I did a great job of breaking down this story. I did. I really did. So I want you to understand that everything that's happening in the sky at this time is happening inside of you. In fact, the activation started inside of you. This right now is what is needed. It's some other things that I want to talk about here, but I'm going to look at the time. Oh yeah, definitely going to look at the time. And I think I'm going to make this, well, not I think, I will make this a part 2 because I want to go into the ancestors. And I also want to talk about lineages and identity. And I want to really bring it together about the ones who go before. Not just someone who came before you in time, but I'm talking about someone who walked ahead of you and cleared something and what that really means. So the ancestors are not just a person in your past. The ancestors are path makers. There's someone who moved through something so that you could stand where you are now. And when you really understand that, that changes how you see yourself. Because you're not just an individual trying to figure out life on your own. You are standing at a point that was built, that was shaped, that was carried forward by people who had to make decisions under pressure, under limitations, under conditions that you may have never fully experienced, yet their imprints are here. And so this is the part where we have to tell the truth about what people misunderstand. Because a lot of people think ancestors are only biology, and they are not. Some of your strongest ancestors are energetic, cultural, spiritual. They're people you've never met, but whose choices shape the world we are now navigating. And so a lot of times when people think ancestors are perfect, healed beings, that once they transition, everything becomes pure wisdom and pure clarity. But that's not the full picture either. I'm not going to go into this whole story. Many of you who have worked with me, you understand what I think about the ancestors. And I want to share it to you in this way. Remember, one of the things I put in the prediction show is that there would be a whole lot of new religions and there will be false prophets that will come forward, and those who would want to embody these archetypal energies coming forth to bring their message. And so we have to use discernment in all the things that we're doing. And remember, we are sovereign beings. And recognizing the power that comes with that. And recognizing our power that we have with us at this time. Yeah. And I want to talk about identity because this has been coming up in the readings a lot. Because there's a lot of confusion here, and I want to share what my understanding is at this particular point. You don't heal the past by revealing it. You heal it by ending the patterns in the present time. And there is this idea that healing ancestral wounds means going backwards, reliving, digging, staying in pain of what happened. But that's not actually how it works. And then this is where identity comes in. And because there's a lot of confusion about what people understand identity to be, they think they think that to honor a lineage or to honor your ancestor, you have to lose yourself in it, or you have to oppose someone else's identity to stand in your own. And that's not the case. Identity at its highest level is not division. It's orientation. It's what anchors you. It's what lets you stand in the room and know who you are without needing to shrink yourself, without needing to adjust, and without needing to perform. Yeah. I know I said I wasn't going to get into it, but I really, it's some of the things I do want to get into. But I want to save that for another time because I think it's something we all can work with. We all can really, really work with. So, I'm going to give a closing, but I want to show you guys this pen. Can you all see this? Can y'all see that? Do y'all know what this is? Does anyone know what this is? Anybody know what that is? Do you know? Let me know in chat if anyone knows what that is. Anybody know? Do y'all know? It's okay if you don't know. I'm going to eventually tell you what it is. Anybody know what it is? I'm looking for, if you know, you know. You're not. There you go. Oh, Sheila. That's exactly what it is. It is the Black American Heritage Flag. It is something some years ago I came in contact with. And I want to share with you guys some stories and some energy about the Black American Heritage Flag that was founded by two brothers who came up with this flag. And it's been, you know, over the years, people have kind of put it out there. But what I find more interesting is the channel and the story I got behind it. You don't see the flag? You don't see it? Y'all don't see the pin I have on? By the way, this ain't the first time I wore the pin. No one never said anything before when I wore it. But this is the pin. So this is pretty well quiet. Most people don't know unless you just Googled it, to be honest. It's not something that's on Front Street. I'd say during COVID, it got a little push, but that was that. But there's a discussion that's going on right now that has a lot to do with identity, has a lot to do with culture and where we're headed. And I'll talk more about that another time. I want to also talk about COVID. Not COVID, Chiron, sorry. I want to talk about Chiron. And if you don't know the story in short about Chiron, Chiron was, in essence, abandoned by his mother and abandoned by his father, and pretty much left out in the wild, left out in the world to defend himself. Half horse, half man, a centaur, but he was very different. Long story short, he got scooped up by Apollo. Apollo kind of took him in and taught him about healing, taught him about medicine, taught him about all kinds of things. And so, you know, as the mythology go, he's known as the wounded healer. The story goes on where he was shot with a poisonous arrow. Not that he couldn't heal it, because he could heal from the poisonous arrow. He just didn't. He continued to do his work. He went on to be the healer of many other healers, so many other healers. And, you know, the story goes on about the eternal flame. You all can research this if you don't know. But Chiron learned something that sort of shocked him. And that he realized through all of his wounds, which he thought that was his whole purpose, was for him to try to heal himself. He discovered something greater. He became eternal, not because his wound disappeared, but because he chose to do something with it that was larger than his pain. And so he freed the one who carried the divine flame for all of us. I'm not going to go into all of that, but I'll tell the story a little later. And then what happened is the universe made him a constellation, and he became a permanent point of light that every soul who has ever felt lost could navigate themselves by. Imagine that. He was rejected by his mother, so much so she turned herself into a tree. She couldn't bear looking at him. And his father didn't want to claim him. Apollo scooped him up and pretty much trained him up like he was one of his own. Taught him about healing and medicine and the arts, and gave him all of this knowledge. So much knowledge that he was helping the greatest of the greatest heal themselves of all kinds of things. Artemis came along, and even though he was a centaur, he didn't know how to use a bow and arrow because he was half human and half animal. And then later he was shot by accident with a poison arrow, which typically would have killed anyone else. But because of who he was, it didn't kill him. And at first he spent a lot of time trying to heal it while helping others. But he became eternal because he chose to do something with his pain, his wound that was larger than himself. And he freed someone who carried the divine fire for all of us, and he was made into a constellation. So basically, the full arc: he was rejected, then he was found, he was teaching, he made sacrifices, and he became eternal. And that is also the arc that's available to all of us. Every planet in the sky tonight, this morning, this afternoon, no matter where you are, is asking the same question Chiron finally asked. The same question your ancestors moved through everything to bring to you. What divine fire are you carrying for the collective? And what are you here to teach? Not someday, and not what you're ready, but now. 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 That's the question. Because no one wanted to become the teacher of the greatest souls of the ancient world ever knew. Because the uninvited one, remember, Eris, placed the apple that revealed what the room was pretending not to see. Our ancestors endured conditions they should have never had to navigate, so that we can stand here in this moment free enough to choose. Free enough to choose. You're free enough to choose anything that your heart desires right now. I don't want you to miss this moment. I'm not telling you to have it all figured out, but you need to choose something. And then you need to move something. You need to take one action. You need to choose something. And if it doesn't bring you with a little bit of fear, a little bit of nervousness, then maybe you should go a little deeper. A little deeper. As Uranus is sitting at 29 degrees, this is the last breath of one era, reminding you that what you do not begin now will begin next week in a different world. The door is not going to stay open forever. And the frequency is not staying this precise. I beg of you, look in your life, look in your chart, move while this portal is lit. It's lit. You need to move now. You need to make some decisions now. You're not just an individual trying to figure out your life on your own. You are a point in a line that has been moving for generations. And what you do here, what you choose here, shapes what comes next. So whether it is your relationships, whether it is your health, whether it is your mindset and your behavior, whatever it is, it may be something you want to do. You need to move. You need to decide. You need to choose it. And you need to move. Here's something else on my final note I'll share with you all. You are never separate from what you're seeking. Never. The instinct you doubted was you always guiding you. The identity you were waiting to become was always present. Always. That girl, that guy, that man, that boy you are waiting to become has always been present. And the life you were meant to live begins the moment you stop leaving yourself behind. Yeah. Well, that's all I got for tonight. Happy new moon, everyone. Happy new moon in Aries. This is your moment. Please honor it, cherish it, take some time. If it's no more than 2 to 3 minutes before you move on to the next thing after leaving here, and decide, choose, and decide what that move is going to be like. Whether that move is going to be that you will always make sure that you are checking in with you, and that the actions and the dreams that you are doing and going after, you are moving in the direction towards that. And everything that you do, is it moving you closer to where you want to be? Or is this something else to distract you from you? Is it? It's a powerful time. I gave you all a lot of those dates so that you can understand that it's been a long time since this portal has been lit. And you are the light that's in this portal. We have to stop worrying about what everybody else thinks. We have to stop worrying about whether we're going to get it right. We have to stop worrying about making things perfect before we take a move. And we have to stop worrying about the failure of it all, the rejection of it all, and all of these other things that we tell ourselves because we're so used to playing small. And we have to stop letting things make us feel big when we know deep down inside there's no real movement happening. We're not trying to be busy just to be busy. Follow your dreams, your desires, but move something and be committed to those moves. So I'm going to get out of here. I would love to hear your takeaway in the comments. I want to invite you, if something here moved you tonight, make sure you hype this video up and like and subscribe as well. And if you get a chance today or tonight, wherever you are in the world, go outside and talk to the moon. Look up at the sky and talk to the moon. Just talk to the moon. Look at the sky. I love you all. I thank you all for being here. I thank you for bringing your love, your light, your joy. I thank you for trusting yourself amongst all things in this world, knowing how powerful you are, how incredible genius you are, and know that you are a sovereign being. So I'm going to get out of here. I'm looking forward to some great things. I want to say thank you to everybody. And I see, thank you both for the super chat donation. I see there are 2 there. And I want to say thank you to Rashika. And also thank you to Breath Art Movement. Thank you so much both for the super chat donation, and thank you for everyone for being here. I love you all so much. Thank you for being a part of this community. Thank you for trusting yourself. Thank you for your presence and your joy. And I want you all to move. I want you all to move something. Yeah. Let me know. Let me know in the comments what you gonna be moving to. What you gonna be stepping into. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, you guys. This has been a wonderful new moon. Yeah. Peace and love, soul family. Peace and love, ciao. I love you all so much. Oracle kisses. Don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, you know, all of the good things. Yeah, peace and love.